brought that up because this was something that was talked about when we moved towards permanent super weeks, when we lived back in the glorious country of Poland.
Back in my day.
And you remember we used to do one show a week, and then we started doing 2 a week. And a lot of teams were even talking about how only a day or two between your matches was not enough time to prep.
Nope.
If you played on Monday and your next match was on Wednesday, the coaches were talking about how much work had to go in to get ready for that next matchup. And there were a lot of teams who were bad on Monday and were great on Wednesday, and a lot of teams who were great on Monday and terrible on Wednesday. Well, you don't even have that 24-hour buffer anymore. XSET played the third match yesterday, and now they're in the first match today. That's the 20-hour turnaround.
Yep.
So for their coaching staff and for their players, there's a lot that they need to focus on. So it's a good thing to point out because some of these teams are meticulous with their planning and preparation, and it's very challenging to do that when you only have about, in all reality, after you factor in sleep and all that, you only have about 10 hours to accomplish it. Regardless, there's the band phase. Yana Band is a bit of a wonky one as we begin our matchup on Chalet here between Soniqs and XSET, the second place team of the Soniqs, fighting against the 9th place team of XSET. Neither of these teams have played this map, so we're in for a real treat.
All right, so looking at Yana statistically for XSET, for those of you who are wondering, she's played 23% of the time when available for XSET, and she is a 31% win percentage. So that's it's okay. I mean, it's not great. There are better operators on XSET's side. However, obviously, the Soniqs know that while she is an operator that is played by the XSET, they mainly just want to get rid of her utility. One thing to note with Yana is that she's got the Gon 6 now, which means that she has 3 explosives, which, you know, for those of you counting, apart from the breaching charges, that makes her dangerously similar to Ashe. And she's got that Yana clone. So there's a lot of soft destruction potential on Yana, and it's why she's seeing much more play in the NAL as of late than I think many would have predicted. It really is that Gon 6. I mean, it's that extra little piece of sauce on top of an already perfect dish of an operator.
Now you're just making me hungry, Michael.
I made myself breakfast today. It was excellent. I will cook for you breakfast anytime, Parker.
You cooking me breakfast when we wake up?
I will cook you breakfast. With coffee.
Yana also, of course, Shib's favorite operator. So,
okay.
People will understand it. The people watching, and Shabazz, or Shibs, as a lot of people refer to him, SHBZ. A lot of people will tell you why. He's
gonna salivate over that shout out.
Yeah,
Parker.
I think salivating is something that he does quite often. That man needs a glass of water.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
He needs a gallon of water.
Now, here we go. Right away, very first round, the Soniqs favor running Lion an awful lot. It's usually Super who's on this role, but they've instead flexed because they've got Super on another operator, this time Hardbreach playing on Ace, who for but a time has smokes remaining. For those of you that have not kept up to date with the designer notes, it was noted by Ubisoft 2 days ago that some significant changes are happening. And one of them is that, well, Ace is losing smokes. He's getting a Claymore. Thermite is getting smokes, losing his Claymore. So Ace will now not be able to execute the same way. Maybe a small buff for Thermite. Also some big changes to Lord Tachanka. We'll see if he's any way viable. He's had a very tiny amount of play so far in the NA League. He hasn't been particularly impactful. I actually think it was Creators who played him last a couple play days ago, and well, nothing really came of it because we were so worried about him being so strong, and it turns out that the Lord is actually quite mortal.
I find it a little bit ironic that Tachanka went from being a funny meme to being a pathetic meme upon his rework. But he is pretty, changeable. I mean, you could definitely make him a better operator just by, increasing the range of his fire or whatever change you want to make. Anyway, here and now, some hard destruction going into the A site wall. C4 goes out and is shot by Yeti. Good reaction there to deny any potential damage from that explosive device. I like the hard destruction. That guarantees control deep sight for the attackers who can boost, but also means the defenders can see deep into the hallway, giving them a chance to fight back. This position is well set up by the Soniqs. I wonder how it will work for them when they go for the execution.
Drip's hanging out inside of Blue, watching the back of Wine. We also saw the vigil of Butters upstairs, wasting lots of time in the main lobby, but he was essentially boxing shadows because all of Soniqs are going for a back take. They're positioned over by this wine wall. Super appears to be in the middle of the bomb site, by the way, getting that diffuser planted. He tries to begin and then holds off. The Soniqs have great coverage here. Drip is first to die, gun down inside of blue. Rexon holds the angle. Down goes Tomas. And the Soniqs find themselves with a 2-player lead. Still above, Butters is trying his darndest. He manages to get a kill, but traded out by Yeti, who ascends the back stairs in a 1v1 against Creators. Creators wins that, but, well, the rest of his team isn't. Excellent play from above as he finds a second onto Grixer, but it's a 2v1. The Soniqs at about halfway on that diffuser, and Creators making tons of noise. He'll have to hit the barbed wire on the way down. All the Soniqs need to do is train their guns at his exact location, but they seem quite intent to give him a 1v1. Maybe just waste some time. He's only got 7 seconds left, and he's got to either fight through blue or a connector. He gets shot at from both angles. It's Rexon inside of blue who ultimately capitalizes, and the Soniqs get round number 1.
That round is a good example of the dynamic from the Soniqs. I mean, okay. The hard destruction on the site wall. Love that. The reason they do it so high is because they can boost as the attackers in the hallway to gain line of sight into the site itself. But the defenders, who are standing on the floor, are not going to have such luxury. Now, there are some boost spots in sight for the defenders, but they are not great options generally to contest that angle. So the Soniqs, with excellent control over the site, without forfeiting any of their positioning power, are able to then turn that control into a plant. They also have vertical on the drop, so they can cover the direct push. Now, you got to imagine that Super's the one calling and planning out this strategy, and he's also the one planting that diffuser deep in sight. And again, that's the dynamic of the Soniqs. They don't need 5 people who are going to be on the top half of North America statistically. They only need 4, and that's exactly what they've got. The coverage was excellent. The strategy, also excellent. A lot of thought clearly put into that. And it is likely telling of the Soniqs being exceedingly prepared on Chalet, which is something that I obviously XSET and their fans really don't want to be the case.
10 seconds left before insertion. Attackers have located a bomb.
Who was it that was talking on the analyst desk yesterday? Or maybe I'm confusing myself with just endless chatter on social media, but there was a lot of talk about Grixer, but Yeti has some, as I think, actually kind of stepped into the background here of the Soniqs. Now, I have a soft spot for Yeti. He was one of the first players that I ever casted in CCS way back when he was on a team that was known as Core Impact before getting picked up by World's Best Gaming. If you recall, the first matchup that you and I ever casted together was WBG versus Rogue, and King George was actually in that matchup, if you want to know how old we are and how old King George is, and also how bad King George is, but that's a conversation for another day. I've always had a soft spot for Yeti. There have been some comments that teammates of his have made in the past about how he can kind of domineer a team and just absolutely take over and play the way he wants. It seems that he's being given a lot more freedom to do what he wants to do on the Soniqs without having to run the actual team itself. That is in many ways Super's job. Joe Bro as well, their coach, has been helping to guide that ship forward. And it's really, I think, gotten the best out of Yeti. And we're seeing just a tremendous resurgence from him.
I know this comparison is different in many ways because the players are different in how they affect the team. But I would equate Yeti joining the Soniqs to Canadian joining Space Station back in the day.
Wow, you think Yeti's as good as Canadian?
What? No, I'm not.
That's what you just said. That's what you said.
Oh my God. I think that the way they're on their team is partially due to the fact that they're given the space to play the game the way they want to play it with a team that understands their goals. And Yeti has been, in my opinion, I agree with you, he's been squandered in past teams. But let's get off that to the action right now, because Grixer, the man who has been statistically #1 in North America, and it's not even close, is going to get the leadoff kill to this round. Butters tries to land the one tap, but misses ultimately with that TCSD-12, and well, there's going to need to be a refrag from XSET at some point in this round, but it's not going to be now.
XSET is quite intent on holding inside of games and then watching the draw patch as well. So even if library control goes in favor of the Soniqs, they've got a couple sets of eyes on it. Creators playing on library stairs now, drip beneath it as well on a Frost setup that we've seen lots of teams use. Creators isn't going to be able to do anywhere near as much as he wants to, and unfortunately for Rexon, he turns his back to Filthy before getting traded out by his own Nitro Cell. A bit puzzling on that one. Doesn't really matter because Kansan would have got the kill, so that's an execution. No points earned for you, sir. No, not at all. 20 seconds left. It certainly doesn't feel like that, though. So Butters and Drip in a 2v4 for XSET. Butters is watching the hatch. So is Drip. They're watching the exact same hatch. And down goes Butters. Yet he's going to try to drop into the bomb site. And it's a valiant effort for Drip, but it's nowhere near good enough. XSET were just a little too focused on the exact same thing. The Sonics bulldoze into the bomb site with 10 seconds left. No diffuser needed. They get the final kill. And they get the round as well. 2-0.
Who says Super can't frag? Give him the F2. He'll pop off. There you go.
His stats say that, Michael?
That is true.
The casters say that, Michael. The analysts say that, Michael. Twitter.
He says
Twitter
it himself, actually.
Twitch chat says that. Reddit says that. He says it.
He does say it. Yeah, he does.
So Michael, when you ask a question, who says Super can't frag? Literally everybody says that.
Well, he did that round, so that's cool. You know, proving us all wrong. Huzzah! Yeah.
This is, by the way,
he's doing it.
This is, by the way, this is a joke. And I need to say for all of you curmudgeons who are not as adept at understanding humor.
Yeah.
It's a very sophisticated joke. You need a lot of intelligence to understand it. It's kind of like Rick and Morty.
Exactly like Rick and Morty.
You need a very high IQ, you know? I wish I had that copy pasta memorized. Anyway, that round, what defined it for XSET? They relinquished control of the upstairs about halfway through the round. I think Filthy tried to fight for it back inside a library. They're really struggling to deal with this Lion, and it seems like even though they're running a mute and a vigil, they're getting immobilized an awful lot, and they're not able to fight back against the Sonics. They're just giving SQ so much leeway to entry.
Yeah, they certainly are. I think that the control from the roam is negligible. That's one of my main takeaways. The Aruni was trying to roam by bathroom early in the round, pushed off by a drone. I mean, yeah, they didn't die, but it's just so fast. And it's fine, I guess, if your opponent is going to be... Okay, if you're XSET and you're roaming and you don't put up any kind of stop to prevent a clean sweep on the roam for the Sonics, then... You know, that would be okay if the Sonics were lazy or slow or, you know, poorly practiced. But they haven't been for a long time now. I mean, this whole stage has been efficiency 101 for Sonics. So that Chrome clear it's going to be fast. And it's going to cause you problems later in the round if you don't confront it somehow. Now, the other option, of course, is going to be just, you know, anchoring down on site, but that didn't work out very well for the Sonics when they eventually get to that, or got to that last round. This time, they're going to go back to the bottom floor, by the way. They haven't defended Master yet, which is curious, a site that some teams like to play. But they'll stick to the bottom and middle floor for now, see if they can find success here.
This is a very attacker-sided map, obviously, that benefits the Sonics, who are starting on attack. But it's also worth noting that the stats for this map are, well, they're kind of mind-boggling.
Yep.
Since Chalet entered in the NA League, through the 3 times that we've seen it, and now you can add 4 because now we're at least 2 rounds into this contest. Wine Cellar, down below, the bomb site that XSET is holding right now, has never been successfully defended by a team in North America. So... tall task for XSET to try and break that. And it's going to get even worse for them now, and any chance of possibly holding on to it has, for but the moment, become a gigantic question mark. Creators gets picked on the entry, and then Drip soon follows. SQ, yet again, they win the opening duel. They're perfect through the 3 rounds. They have been extraordinarily proficient. There's a Nitro Cell from Filthy. It gets tossed out in the exact same way.
Yeah.
It gets absolutely nothing. I think this one actually detonated. It didn't get shot out. Another EE1D will go. Kansan still has a single charge remaining, and Tomas will lie down prone and just watch that angle. Filthy now staring over towards Wine and by the trench hallway. See if Filthy can get anything with it. The guns from XSET are pointed in such a way that they are susceptible to getting pushed from main stairs, and if somebody decides to charge down, they might find Butters looking from the back. The Butters is just filling super full of lead and now trying to do more damage as yet he has the diffuser in hand. Filthy falls, and it looks like the Sonics will be good on this execute. Thomas with a kill. 1, 2, 3, maybe? No, he's not going to get it. Grixer shuts him down. Grixer, why are you running that charm? You weren't at that event. You weren't at the first 6 Invitational. We see you, Grixer. You know what? You're the best player in NA. You can wear it. There you go. You got permission. The Sonics are up 3-0.
You weren't there either, Parker. Do you get to give out permission?
You know, it's kind of funny. And I will...
I was there.
I
have that charm. I actually...
Michael, I'm aware. And you know the funny thing is,
Yeah.
I was going to tell you the story. I also have that charm.
Oh, yeah?
Now,
how'd you get it?
Now, here's why I have that charm.
All right.
Because after SI 2018, they told us to message them, and they were like, yeah, for talent and stuff like that. Obviously, you guys get the charms too, but you know, you gotta message us your Uplay account. So I was like, okay, so I did that, and the next thing you know, the first 2017 charm also appeared. And I remember there was a particular broadcast where I openly said, please remove it from my account. I don't deserve it. I was not present at the very first SI. I didn't even watch Rainbow Six. I was playing the game. I had just started playing the game by the first SI had happened. I started January 4th, 2017. It was the first time I played Rainbow Six Siege. January 4th, 2017. But it was during Red Crow. But I was not present. I did not watch it. The first official Pro League match I watched was the Gamescom event when I was actually flying out to my buddy's bachelor party in New York.
Remember that
I was sitting at Pearson Airport, and we were talking at the time, and we had, at that point, we had stated that in a perfect world we'd like to cast together, but we were just waiting essentially to see what would happen. And I remember watching Gamescom, sitting at the airport being like, how cool would it be if I was doing this one day? And guess what?
Now
I'm doing it.
You're doing it, yeah.
And it's just as cool as I thought, baby.
Oh yeah. No, it's I'm happy for you, Parker. I remember working Gamescom. That was a confusing event. It was weird because it was in Germany, right? And the game has like an 18+ rating. And so they had like in an open
Peggy 18.
Yeah, it was in an open area, the stage, where it was like a bunch of other stages from other games. And there was a giant tarp over the front of the stage, so that only people who were deemed to be old enough could go in and see it, because at Gamescom there are sub 18-year-olds. It was a really weird event, apart from just that. Anyway.
Yeah, and some of them were playing on stage.
Yeah, some of them were. That was also the first event where we had 2 spectators. I remember we had a top-down and a first-person dedicated spectator, which we had never had before. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So, XSET losing their first player here, as is routine, as is expectation here. Kansan will use a Lion EE1D. That's to prevent the refrag. So he wants to make sure that doesn't happen, but it will. And Super will answer it in turn. So Soniqs maintaining their lead in the man count through this round. And they also have control on library side. That's going to give them a good platform to attack onto the site.
Now, the downside here, by the way, for XSET is this is the second least defended bomb site in terms of win percentage. And man, XSET are just getting smoked. Grixer was not even looking in that direction to start with.
He just looked through the
punishes
door.
Butters. And there's a minute and 15 seconds left. The Soniqs with a major upper hand at the moment, 4-2. Now, the good news is that you still got a mute and you still got an echo on the board. No nitro cell for Filthy. He's already used it to get a kill, so that is worthwhile, but you don't have any plant denial. You've still got the yokais in play for Drip, at least assuming that they haven't been spotted out and destroyed. So if Drip does go onto his handy dandy gadget here, I don't think he's going to be able to if he's dead. Filthy joins him in the afterlife. The Soniqs absolutely putting on a clinic. It's 4-0.
Yeah, clinic is right. Y'all didn't see it, but that final kill cam was the perfect surgical example of the absolute destruction that we are currently witnessing. Yeti's having a ball. He's enjoying himself. That's why they have a dedicated cam just for Yeti, so we can catch those moments like that, because you know you're going to get them. All right, so let's break down the strategy. The Soniqs, they took library, or attempted roam from XSET. It didn't work. They got destroyed. And then after the Soniqs, they had library. They also opened up the main wall, started pushing in from K9, and then XSET all died.
Attackers need to locate and
I mean, I hate to be this guy, but we didn't even see half of what happened that round because the Soniqs killed them all so fast.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
it was merciless.
And they don't even need to execute. It's just like free kills walking into their crosshairs too. It's weird.
There were 3 players on XSET, all of whom died, and I don't even think they saw the Soniqs players when they died. So it's just, I don't even know what, like, it's so hard to effectively break down what a team is doing right and doing wrong when you can't even see half of what they're doing right now. And if you look at the XSET side of things, This is round 5. They have a grand total of 8 kills. 8 kills through 4 rounds of action means that you're good for 2 kills a round. That is very, very bad. It doesn't matter what the score line is. You have nobody who's being successful on the roam at the moment. I have not seen very many high impact kills from XSET. I would go so far as to argue that I actually haven't seen a single high impact kill through these 4 rounds for XSET at the moment.
Yeah.
They've lost every opening duel. They haven't been proficient at stopping the plant from going down. They're not really wasting any time. The tempo is being very firmly set by the Soniqs right now. Now, obviously, we discussed this in the second round. The Lion is a particularly strong operator for doing just that. So should it surprise you at all that the Lion and the aggression from the Soniqs is carrying the day? Not really.
Nah. Now, this is, I mean, the result isn't surprising regardless of all factors. The one little ray of sunlight for all the XSET fans out there is that, as Parker mentioned earlier, this statistically is one of the most attacker-sided maps we've seen in a really long time. It's right up there with Consulate, but it is somehow more attacker-sided than Consulate. More attacker-sided than Coastline, which isn't, by the way. And there's the leadoff kill. XSET, finally, an impactful frag, and this might actually lead to round success. They also take down the Lion, which has been a thorn in XSET's side throughout this entire map.
That's a huge play, and it defangs, if you'll pardon the pun, that execute from the Soniqs. Now, there's still time for them to recover here. This has actually been a bit of a slow round for the Soniqs because there's still 5 players from XSET alive, and there's 1:15 on the clock. In comparison to the previous 4 rounds, the Soniqs are a bit slower than they have been in the past. They've also made some changes themselves. Super is now playing on Twitch. They've taken off the secondary hard breacher and are instead maybe going for some intel, maybe going for some better guns, as some players can favor the F2. Additionally, that Twitch drone can be quite good at disabling whatever gadgets or traps they find in their way. XSET's best opportunity at a round, though, will continue onward. Their push has not been slowed down, as they've now netted 3 kills in a row. Creators 2 of his own, leaving Rexon and Grixer to do the heavy lifting for his team. And Rexon, with a jiggle peek towards blue, will have to get this frag here, or else he'll be absolutely fried. He's not too far off of being able to push into the bomb site. He'll do some intel gathering just by the fireplace, and Grixer has some bullets whiz past his head. He knows that there's one up top, and he fills Thomas full of lead, but can't really capitalize. The Jaeger will re-engage, and it's a miss from Grixer, a rare one. Rexon, 2 of his own. He pivots and does so perfectly inside of the main lobby. He's only steps away from the bomb site. He'll light up Butters, taking out another bit of HP on Drip, and all this damage that he's doing isn't good enough for a full kill. It's a 1v3. 5 seconds left. Rexon on a sliver of HP. Dare I say it, XSET finds themselves on the board. 1 second remaining, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Finally, they break the streak. XSET finds round number 5 in their favor, and it's still 4-1 for the Soniqs, but XSET have something to be proud of.
Let's go, XSET. So, the roam upstairs, library held well through the shield, backstairs, and through the chimney defense. That's a great crossfire that we see used by many teams in the NAL on this map. And it's one of the reasons why, I think the primary reason why, bar gaming is the statistically best site for the defenders on this map. Good job to XSET finally going to bar again and, you know, trying it once more and being successful. You love to see that. If they can get one more round, then fantastic. XSET are ending the first half 4-2, and as the defenders, that is the advantageous scoreline, at least based on what we've seen so far from this map in the NAL. Now, they have to win on the bottom floor, because that's where they decided to go. Now, this, again, is a site that has yet to be defended successfully in the NAL, so XSET need to kind of, you know, I guess, write a sort of history for NAL. The first time successfully defending the bottom floor, if they want to get that 4-2 scoreline. Might happen. I mean, we've only seen this map played 3 times before.
This is the thing that needs to be noted to everybody, and will be repeated ad nauseum, is that that was a successful bar gaming defense, which prior to today's play day had a 69% defender win rate.
Nice.
Kitchen Dining was just a little bit behind at 67%. That's a heartbreaker, only 2% away from the funny haha number. Wine Cellar and Snowmobile are still at 0%. So we'll see. I mean, Bar Gaming is the best bomb site for the defense right now. And Bar Gaming also has the highest pick rate. Filthy, I think, was trying for the floor, but that is a glorious miss. And he is in the danger zone and could get swung on by the Lion. He will, but they both end up missing. Oh, Super instead decides to engage through West Main, and there's two different players from XSET who try to take him down. It's Filthy who ends up being successful. He immediately turns and his focus goes towards the window inside of Trophy to see if he can net a second onto Kansan. Unfortunately for him, Kansan goes on to drone. And now the Sonics, realizing that yet again they've lost this opening duel, they cannot afford to dilly-dally as they did in the previous round. Sacrificing the first pick is one thing, but it completely throwing your execute off is another entirely. XSET will now head back to the bomb site through the master, or through the dining room, and now wait out the Lion charge. We're almost at the halfway point in this round.
The roam has been great once again from XSET, and the Sonics are struggling the second time in a row. It's going to get worse as Creator takes down Rexon. So you've lost half of your hard destruction, you've lost one of your primary soft destructors, and excellent players both. And now XSET, with half the round left, have fallen back to the site. They don't need to continue to contest. They've already taken the advantage. And they're going to use that to try and wait out this last minute. Diffuser recovered for Yeti, and he can start opening up the wall, but as you can see, soft destruction there from likely Thomas earlier in the round means that opening that wall is just going to be a little bit more difficult for Yeti than normal. Now, he is a proficient Maverick, and it's not going to impede his progress, very much, but he doesn't have the coverage anymore. There's just not enough manpower on the Sonics, having lost 2 players already. So he's got to be careful and cautious of aggressive play from XSET while he opens that wall up. A whiffed stun there for Grixter is going to slow things down ever so slightly, but it won't be the end of the world.
There have been 10 holds here on this bomb site and 10 wins for the attackers. A trend line could possibly not end up working out in the favor for the Sonics.
The
thing is that, well, that's the second Nitro Cell that looks to have been botched, as now the Sonics will have to carve their way through the panel leading into the back of Wine, and also the side part of Wine. Grixter eyes the doorway and looking for some intel on a stun. Drip has been downed, and there's good coverage from the Sonics as they burst through. Execute in mind. The kill feed going back and forth inside of Connector. It's Butters who's in a very pivotal spot, and Grixter will have to hunt down the remaining members with 5 seconds left. In just sheer timing, Grixter gets a frag, but that's about it. Nothing else he's going to be able to do. The first half will end with XSET showing a little bit more life than we saw at the start. They've picked up the final 2 rounds, and most importantly, the very first defender victory on the Wine Cellar bomb site down below. That momentum will need to be carried over if XSET want to have a chance here, as it's now the Sonics on the unenviable side of Chalet.
All right, let's be straight up about that round. The Sonics once again falling victim to the roam from XSET. I love that XSET decided to get more aggressive with the roam. It was clearly the right call. A hard destructor down, another player down, 2 players total, and you get a lot of the soft destruction out of the way as well. Following that, the execution. I think, honestly, the Sonics execution into the site was damn near perfect. The one big problem, they didn't have enough bodies. That's it. Just the steam ran out towards the end. Also, they didn't know they had downed the Kaid in the hallway. I mean, that's unfortunate. You don't get point notifications at this level, for those of you who don't know. So you just kind of have to either know or not know that you've downed somebody based on other indicators. Just like one more player there for the Sonics, and I think that would have been a successful round for them. And XSET, yeah, they managed to get it, but man, it looked like they barely scraped by. I mean, that was scary towards the end. If Grixter had the information that he could go for the push in the 1v1 in Connector, he probably would have won that. I don't know. I worry about XSET now that they have to go into attack, because it's their turn to show us the strategy they have. What have they got on this map is a big question mark. It's the same one we asked for Sonics earlier. Now it's on XSET.
I mean, salvaging 2 rounds on defense, when you look at the overall success rates, I mean, yeah, Bar Gaming and Kitchen Dining are better for the defenders. You can go to both of them twice and then have Master / Officer Wine Cellar as your third or tertiary bomb site, but a lot of teams don't like that. Also, Kitchen Dining has only been played 3 times. And wasn't played, by the way, at all in the previous defense by XSET. So it's hard to get a really good understanding of that bomb site, strictly because we don't see that much of it. Now, the good news is, well, the Sonics are starting on that site. So we're going to get all 4 bomb sites here on Chalet played.
Yep. Yeah. And
You wanna give the people the information that was just shared with us by none other than Jesse Chick.
Oh, what is this? XSET, according to Jesse, XSET are the worst attacking team in the league, 26% success rate on attack. Sonics are the best defending team in the league with a 72% success rate on defense. And that kind of like, yeah, I think that hammers home the big question in the air that I was mentioning earlier. I really don't know if we should be having faith in XSET's ability to attack, because they have struggled with it a lot in the past, as eloquently, statistically stated by Jesse.
Now, I will say that their attack has been a bit sharper recently. They won a set of attacking rounds on the very first play day, and then went, what was it, 3 play days without a single victory. And they start off the action by dealing quite a lot of damage to Super. Now, the action comes with a minute left, so XSET are battling the clock as much as they are battling the Sonics for now. XSET's good fortune for them, though, has control of above, and they've got lots of kill holes to look through. For the members of Sonics who are defending down below, they need to be particularly careful about where they sit. Grixer retakes from above with Rexon at his side. They're going to head through Solarium and try to catch somebody on a flank. Grixer will do just that. Butters is having a very rough game so far, and, well, it doesn't get any better on the first attacking round. So the Sonics can at least take 1 member of XSET out of the action. With 20 seconds left, there is a 0 in the basement, and I don't know exactly what Filthy is going to be able to do because all of his team is dead. He's going to have to enter the bomb site from below and ascend the stairs in West Main. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything at all. If it were up to me, I would not give the Sonics a flawless round, but Filthy might have other plans, potentially fight for it with just a second left. He ends up destroying a potential flawless as he takes out Kansan, who is as confused as we are with what happened. Regardless, Filthy spent most of that time downstairs, much to our confusion. The confusion of the Sonics.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter. Thomas seems to have a barb in mind. That's fine. It looks like we're going to get a timeout called, presumably by XSET. We will wait on confirmation as the Sonics are up 5-2.
Kansan asked, "What are you doing to the 0 of Filthy in the basement?" And Thomas replied, "Pulling a Grixer." To which Rex...
What was that, pulling first in North America?
Yeah, exactly. That's what Rex had said. He's like, yeah, I mean, he's first in NA. And it looks like he's going to keep his position, by the way. And I will say, statistically, he's not just first in NA. He is first by NA by a large margin as well. I mean, the gap between him and the closest player was Shuttle. Shuttle has a rating of 1.27. Grixer has a rating of 1.36. That's a lot more. Because the next closest gap, I mean, you got Shuttle Hot and Cold in third, 1.27 to 1.22. So, yeah, Grixer's kind of putting miles between him and everybody else right now.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see a stat about Shuttle before the sunglasses and then Shuttle with the sunglasses. It feels like it's the cool Daniel versus cooler Daniel photo, except it's cool Shuttle and cooler Shuttle with the sunglasses. Well, that man's ice cold. He dropped, what was it, 20 kills, 22 kills, something like that, 20. In just a match a couple days ago, his rating has been just creeping upwards. The ratings have been quite volatile, though, because there have only been 7 play days so far, and a number of teams have had buys. OXG has a buy today. Heck of a time to celebrate, by the way, for Laxing, whose birthday it is. So if you want to wish Laxing a happy birthday, please go to his Twitter and...
Happy birthday, Laxing.
I mean, you can flood him with happy birthdays. Happy birthday, Gabe.
Happy birthday.
Go over to, this is what I want you to do. At Laxing, at ALXING, go on Twitter and at him and wish him a happy birthday. Flood him. Flood him with well wishes. Other than that, he's by the way, he's in the top 5 of the entry. His teammate Vertical is up there as well. OXG, those positions will be safe from falling because they're not playing today. But as for the Sonics, this whole team has been in the top 5 of most categories. Super just fell out of the plants category. He might be up there now that there were 2 successful plants. One of them was by Yeti. But Grixer has been the man on a mission. And when you look at cost, it's a 72% win rate on defense for the Sonics. Coming into this matchup, Yeti, Rexen, and Grixer all had a KOST, that's kills, objective, survives, and trade, of 72%. That is a mind-bogglingly high number for 8 matches against other top-tier talent in their region.
Yeah, it really is definitely impressive. And Grixer through this match so far, it could end any moment. We've seen it happen going into the second half where a player will, do well and then suddenly they're not doing so great. But so far, Grixer is continuing to have a number 1 in NA performance. Now,
he's 10-2.
Yeah, it really speaks for itself. Now, the clear upstairs for XSET is going rather slowly right now. And for some reason, Thomas and Butters are the primary entries while creators watch his flank. I don't know what that is, what reason it is. I guess it's the soft destruction. There you go. Butters will down Kansan and finish him off in short order. There you go. Okay. It took a little bit of time, but the kill has been secured for Butters. And everyone he brings to the table is going to mean a lot more because he has not been having the best match. Sometimes, again, when those quiet players come alive, they really do impact the map.
I mean, Butters having a great game honestly can make all the difference for XSET. And I know that people get tired of us harping on specific players, and sometimes the players themselves get tired of it as well. Most of the time I say, tough, you want to compete at the top level, you're going to have criticism for how you perform, just as we as casters get criticism for the way that we cast, and just how coaches receive criticism for the way that they coach. It just comes with the turf.
Competitive landscape.
But when Butters is on entry positions, and in many ways XSET needs him to entry successfully, drone successfully, make space for the team, buy your team time, hunt down the roamers, etc. If you have somebody who's not capable of doing that, that puts a lot of stress on the rest of your team. And sometimes it works out. You might see some stat padding here with players getting unimpactful frags, but more often than not, it can be too much for the team to recover from. Now, the good news for XSET is that whether it's Butters or not involved in this capacity, they are cleaning the Sonics out, and it is a 5v2 for XSET with 20 seconds remaining. It's Grixer and Super to try to hold things off. Super is on smoke, and he's going to continue to use those toxic canisters. SMG-11 in hand, he needs to watch the hatch, but also watch Bar as Grixer has his back to the bomb site. He's just watching the stairs. Super with the drag across. It takes down creators. Thomas now, his damage is being done. He turns around and pivots, and he'll give some of it out as well. Butters and Thomas finish off the round, and an attack for XSET breaks in their favor. They're not leading yet, but they're closing that gap, and the timeout seems to be successful.
Very scary round there for XSET, though, towards the end. They almost lost that one to time, but the collapse worked, and that's what matters most in the end. Now, the roam clear, the roam upstairs was non-existent for the Sonics, which worked out well for the XSET. And I say, okay, sorry, upstairs. They did have roamers in library and by chimney and by top backstairs, but they weren't extended at all on the master office side. That worked for XSET because the roam downstairs for the Sonics was vulnerable then to the vertical play that Butters brought out. In dining, you lose your Melusi early. Strategically, that's a missed play there from the Sonics. If they're going to roam in dining, they need to also have at least some sort of information proxy above or a roamer above to let you know what you're going to have to deal with. Kansan was not ready for that, and that's a great start for the Sonics. Or sorry, for XSET. Following that pick, it really didn't get any better for the Sonics because the crossfire roam between the backstairs and the chimney wasn't well held. The shield at the top of backstairs didn't help in the end because of the soft destruction doled out by by XSET. Then the push from XSET through Trophy was easy to apply pressure onto the backstairs position because the chimney player was playing too passive thanks to the holes that were opened up in the office wall and the player outside front door. Really, I mean, I have no other way to put this than to say XSET executed very well. And, I mean, I'll let you all know that I recognize I have to eat my words because the attacking half so far for XSET is looking pretty solid if that round is anything to go by.
Now, there's one thing to note with this matchup, and obviously we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. The Sonics have a good opportunity to win, and right now I would say they are the favored team, and that favoredness is obviously going to continue on now as Filthy has taken a lot of damage. He played that lurk role with 0 last time around, and we'll see what he's able to do as he was challenging Rexon inside of the lobby. But if you look at the landscape in terms of NAL standings, Dark Zero has tomorrow's match off. Tomorrow is the final play date. DZ plays against TSM tonight. This is their last opportunity to get any points, and Dark Zero enters the day 2 points out of first. Yes, that's correct. 12 points for Dark Zero, 14 points for Oxygen. If the Sonics get all 3 points today, only them, OXG or DG or DZ are capable, or DG are capable rather, of getting first place. If they get 2, DZ and TSM still have a chance. This is, of course, based upon these teams winning their remaining games and getting all 3 points today and tomorrow. So the Sonics are in an excellent position to finish in the top 3 if they get 3 points and potentially even first place. And that, of course, is thanks to our analysts, in particular Caliber Jacob. The analyst desk has been doing great work to try and contextualize where a lot of these teams are in regards to the standings.
These teams, in regards to each other, are on the brink of combat, with the wall in office getting opened up. It gives good line of sight in Trophy Hall, and XSET can use that to pressure that backstairs position we talked about earlier. You can see this time, the player by Chimney, Rexon, is trying to be a little bit more aggressive to support his backstairs player and prevent the one-way pressure, and also to down players like Butters, who leaves himself exposed. Rexon will drop into the site. The Sonics knew they could have won the round last round if they just had a little bit more manpower on site later. And that's going to leave, I believe, still 1 on the back stairs, but no, that player will fall back 2. Sonics have gone all the way back to site just to hold in the last seconds of this round.
Filthy and Butters will not be able to survive whatever onslaught of utility is expended by the Sonics, be it a toxic canister, be it a nitro cell, etc. The gun's doing the work that they need, though. Rexon, from deep down in the basement, takes out Creators. That's the first pick, but he's traded off with Super dying. Your smokes, no longer a major concern. Yeti, though, and Rexon find 2. Amidst the smoke, Yeti will try to just soften up anybody in there, and the kill feed turns blue. The Sonics sweep XSET out of the bomb site, and they find themselves on match point.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you expect to happen in a situation like that. You've got all 5 up still for the Sonics in sight with 30 seconds left, and it's going to be a catastrophe for the attack 9 times out of 10, because it's really hard to... This site, Bar, is not the type of site where you take a piece of it and then you plant there and you're all covering from a distance or any of that stuff. You can't do that like the way you can on Wine Cellar, for example, when you get the cutoffs. And the first attack round that Sonics put downstairs, they did just that. They got a cutoff. They planted on the other side of Pillar. Great. You can't really do that on Bar. On Bar, I mean, you could try, but it's not likely to be successful. On Bar, what you want to do is you want to get top floor early and then play vertical to get man advantage. It's kind of like a TDM site. It's just how it is. There's not a lot of room to work with. Not much to cut off. But XSET didn't give themselves the advantage that they gave themselves last time they attacked that site. 2 man up. Because they couldn't get that off the roamers, I mean, the round outcome was kind of already set in stone.
Well, this is where the 4D chess of Joe Bro and the Sonics comes into mind here, Michael. Coming into today, even though Chalet is the most attacker-sided map in our map pool, there were still 2 bomb sites that favored the defense, Bar Gaming and Kitchen Dining. Well, what did the Sonics do? Round number 1, they went to Kitchen. 67% chance so far, 67% record of the attackers losing. Defenders won. And guess what? The defenders won. They played the numbers. They won. They go to Bar Gaming and they lose the first time. Oh no, that's bad because Bar Gaming had a 69%. Nice. There you have it. 69% chance of winning for the defense, or 69% chance record for the defense. They lose that and then they go back there. And guess what opens after they do that? Kitchen opens yet again. The 2 bomb sites with meager win rates for the defenders. That's Master and Office upstairs and Wine Cellar Snowmobile down below. They were avoided by the Sonics. They don't like them. They say we're not going to go there. So instead they opt for the bomb sites that give them the best chance. And with it, they're going to bully poor XSET across this map. Now, XSET, I will say, since moving to attack, have looked significantly better. They were able to pick up some big kills in their 2-round victories on defense. They won round 5, round 6, took a timeout, won round 8. Problem is that you can start to stitch together a couple rounds here and there, but if you're trading rounds when you're already at such a deficit, it will always favor the team that is already quite a ways ahead. And the Sonics established a 4-0 lead that right now looks insurmountable for XSET. We'll see over the remaining 90 seconds here in the round, or just a little bit more than that, if XSET are able to close that gap.
Jackal's going to be really useful along with these drones to gather the information necessary on the roamers above. And there's the Jackal spotted. Pre-fires out from Thomas, but no, Castle's not exposed. Grixer's just going to fall back. He's actually, no, he's sticking to his guns and his position, despite the drones, despite the Jackal track, despite the rushing Ash. And it's not going to be the right call. A 2K for creators. This looks like it's going to be an extended victory, if one, for the Sonics. C4 goes out and does not land, at least not as much as Super wanted. Sledge of Butters will keep opening up above the site. This is the vertical play that they needed to have on the bar, and they're getting it way, way faster here on Dining. Drop opened up. Super needs to challenge. Somebody from Sonics needs to get aggressive and get a pick back, or this is going to be an XSET round.
Look at what a good set of utility operators can do to the defensive structure that you are trying to hold on to. The Sonics have to scramble from every position that they're in because of the fact that everything's been opened up. Thomas goes down for XSET. Super's trying to retake into Trophy. Can't do it. Creators is there. Creators looking mighty fine. Yeti at the moment is trying to stand as best as he can against the onslaught from XSET, but he can't do it. Just as you having a significant lead in rounds is hard to overcome, it's very difficult to overcome that when there's a lead in terms of man count. And that 2-piece from Creators to open up the round really did knock the Sonics on their heels, and there was no time for the Sonics to recover at all, let alone recover gracefully. So XSET takes the win here on Kitchen. The bomb site is still open. Sonics can go back here. Their record on it might be 50-50, but they're going to say, we prefer to go somewhere else. They're going to go up to the top floor. They do not like that bottom floor defense. That is unsurprising given the numbers. And from everything we've seen across all regions, the bottom floor does tend to be quite unfavorable, and the stats back that up. So it's so far for the Sonics, they've split the defense. They won one on bar, lost one. They won one on kitchen, they lost one. They're going to go upstairs to master. Now, the thing is that if they win one on master and then lose one, they win the match. They don't need overtime. And that's what the Sonics are obviously going to be focusing on. They have still 2 more rounds to go, and they need to win just one of those. So far, based on stats, there's a very high likelihood of that happening with how the Sonics have played.
We've seen some really awesome things from XSET through this match, and I think it's the same story every single time we see XSET play. Little glimpses into the brilliant minds of XSET, the potential that they have as a team, and then they still lose somehow. That's been the consistent, the go-to for XSET. It reliably. That last attack, beautiful execution. There's nothing else to say. The information gathering was on point. The follow-up to the drones on point. The soft destruction above on point. The patience from Butters upstairs on point. Everything's looking perfect. XSET planned it out, and they executed it exactly how they wanted the round to go. Beautiful. The same thing for their first attack onto the bar. Beautiful. And then they still somehow managed to lose a lot of matches. Maybe this will be the different one. Maybe this will be where they bring it to overtime and they win in OT. I don't know. I mean, they even changed the record by winning the first ever NAL defense of the bottom floor on Chalet. But what I can say is the same thing I've been saying. There's a lot of brilliance on XSET. There's a lot of potential. It's just not consistent yet.
Oh, I mean, just as yesterday when we watched that Beast Coast matchup against the Sonics, it seems like we've got the Sonics on our mind all the time. And guess what? We're casting them tomorrow as well against Mirage.
Ooh, exciting.
I hope the Sonics are a fan of us, by the way, because they have to listen back if they keep the sound on. And Sonics fans, I feel for you having to listen to us just drone on and on about your preferred team. But it was just like yesterday. The Sonics were obviously a very good Oregon team. They played it 3 times as the most played map. East Coast had never played it. We speculated, well, maybe they were keeping it in their back pocket. obviously did not look that way, and the scoreline suggests that that wasn't the case based upon the results. But with Chalet here, I mean, XSET are putting in a much better contest than I honestly expected coming in. This is the team that has but a single victory this season, going up against the powerhouse of the Sonics. This roster is particularly formidable, and they haven't exactly had a ton of time to really vibe or gel.
Ooh.
Ditto XSET, by the way, as now Grixer is on the hunt. He could potentially capitalize off of this, and he'll do just that. Nobody drones out Grixer, though, yet he falls to Creators, so the Ash putting in work. Creators, 11 kills for him on the day. He only trails Grixer in terms of what he can do. It'll be a battle of the Titans as we hit the final minute or so of this matchup potentially, but round definitely.
Biggest problem here is that, yeah, you've gotten a pick, but it's a trade. And on top of that, you've got 30 seconds left to execute into the site. Where is your principle of power? It's not going to be through this main wall. You've still got 2 gas canisters in Super's pocket. He's going to stop you from planting if he has his way. Now you've got big window repel. That's good for Filthy. He's going to have to put in massive work there. Butters through the smoke. Will take down Super. That's your smoke eliminated. No more gas canisters. The plant could go down, but nobody has diffuser. So it's a frag fest here for XSET as they push into the site. Butters will retrieve that diffuser and start planting it, but it's going to hit 000. It's on Filthy and Creators to continue to hold this cutoff to deny the push from these defenders. They've done a good job of that. Now in a post plant, the advantage has shifted to XSET's side. And with Creators getting his 3rd kill, I mean, he's vying for the 4th. And in a post plant, it might happen. Grixer peeking at a piano, and there it is. Well, Parker, Creators heard you, and he has now outfragged Grixer.
He's like a raid boss right now.
Yeah.
You can't take him down. The man's just warming up. There's a great quote that I heard from Easily way back in the day. He said that when you get a kill on land, it's like you get a plus 20. You're specifically talking about Bolo. He's like, Bolo gets a kill on land, and he gets plus 50, and he just continues to grow and grow and overpower you, and there's nothing you can do. Well, Creators in that round, well, he was eaten up. One of the favorite phrases for NA. The Sonics tried their best, but the thing is that when the push came down for XSET, the Sonics only had Super involved in Office. The last 2 players from the Sonics, one was down below, and the other was buried deep inside a Solarium. I don't know if they were just worried about the window pressure from Filthy, as Zero was on a repel, and that's a very hard spot to contest. You can't really do much at that point other than just fighting the repel, and you have no intel there, especially when a lot of teams try to put somebody inside a piano to get the refrag, and that's exactly where Creators marched to. He took up space inside a piano, he held an angle into Office, and he could cut off Master with Filthy looking in the same direction. Also, because the deployable shield was still there, he was capable of playing off of it. It meant that SQ was going to have to retake through piano and fight a crossfire while being essentially miles away from where the diffuser was planted in Office. XSET knew what they were doing. They got the necessary picks. The opening picks in particular were quite strong, and Grixer was isolated on that roam. He was effective at the start, but through the mid-round, he really wasn't able to make that much of an impact. And by the time he got back to the bomb site, it was far too late because a retake was essentially impossible. The Sonics will take their time out on the final round here of regulation. Overtime is still very much a possibility. XSET have the favorable side on Chalet. It is not a done deal. And even though the Sonics looked like the better team at the start of this matchup, things have tightened up very quickly.
They certainly have, Parker, and Chalet's nature as an attacker-sided map is starting to solidify. This is now the 4th time we've seen it played in the NAL, and that statistic of being the most attacker-sided map is holding true so far. And we've seen the majority of these rounds be attacker-sided. So
10 seconds to insertion.
I don't know. I mean, is Sonics going to be able to break that? I mean, they get to go to Bar, which is their best site on defense. It's everyone's best site on defense. This is the best site on this map right now. Statistically, at least. Your own assessment may vary. So that's at least one good thing going for the Sonics. One potential, denial of overtime. But look at this. They're doing the same roam they did last time they failed to defend this site. They got to be careful losing those players early to the vertical and the top floor cleared. XSET might try a different strategy, though, as they look to want to clear through Snowmobile. That's a little bit of a mix-up. And we'll see how it goes for them.
Filthy down below yet again on this lurk, and they're prepared and ready for it. Grixer knows it. He's wise to his tricks. But Grixer's looking towards blue, and Filthy's watching the drop inside of dining. And if the Sonics do decide to drop down in that particular area, they're going to find themselves very quickly dealt with by none other than Sam Fisher. Shut off the lights. He'll still find you.
Didn't work very well for Filthy last time. But
No, not at all.
But mostly because his whole team died before he could even do anything.
We've talked about certain players who play this playstyle. Laxing is one of them. Thinking Nade will often be in that position for SSG too. If things just go to hell in a handbasket real quickly.
The lurker.
Your lurker role. You don't usually call it a lurker. We call them roamers.
Well, I mean on
But
defense,
you
right?
lurk as a roamer.
It's so different. Roaming and lurking in this game have different definitions, but that
Well,
doesn't
timeout
really
obviously didn't work too well. Butter starts things off, and we are now about to head into overtime, question mark. Kansan gets chased away by a grenade placed directly in front of his shield. The Sonics are reeling from that first death. And Yeti going down means that the Yokais will remain uncloaked, decloaked, whichever one you want to call it. A desperation C4 from Kansan, hucked from library stairs, but it is in a completely different area code from all members of XSET. Nobody's going to be there to receive it. Super playing in bar stock with the panel as Rexon finds one for the Sonics to equalize. It's Drip who is dropped. That's Diffuser surrendered as well.
Oh.
Down goes the Jaeger as a spray through the window of Thomas ultimately connects, and now Creator's in a battle of his own, takes some damage, but he still stays upright. All of Sonics will now watch the windows and doorways leading into the bomb site, knowing that there's only 30 seconds left. XSET still don't have access to this Diffuser. Thomas turns and he vaporizes Kansan. The Sonics are in bad position now as Grixer will need to win a 1v4. He's got the Roni in hand, not a lot of bullets as he tries to contest, but overtime is on the docket as Thomas sends Grixer to bed. Say goodnight, chat. And say goodnight to 3 points. The best that the Sonics will be able to do is 2. Ditto for XSET.
4-2, 4-2, Parker. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I thought this was going to be a blowout for the Sonics, but here we are. XSET showing us their true potential. Now that we go to overtime, they need to show us they can keep that up consistently. That's been the problem for XSET through this stage. Now, the Sonics have the advantage of starting on attack. When we talked about this earlier, the majority of rounds being attackers sided. XSET, they had some good moments on defense, but I have to say both of the defensive wins for XSET overall, I feel like mostly came down not to luck necessarily, but to time, if more than anything. The Sonics made poor use, pardon me, of time on their clear, and often were facing 0-0 when executing into the site. You'll see one player from XSET still alive and hiding in a corner, and he will wait out the clock, as you do in those situations, beautifully. Now, XSET will need, I think, to show us something different on defense if they want to have success in overtime, because I think that strategy against the Sonics is going to stop working at some point. I think that the Sonics are going to get wise to it and start playing their early clear a little bit faster.
5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
At least I would hope so.
I would hope so too, man. XSET just playing the map, playing the side. The Sonics could not hang on, and they engaged a little bit too early. The Sonics, I feel like, got a little bit too reckless on some of those defenses, and I know for XSET fans, they're not going to necessarily like that. It sounds like we aren't giving their team enough credit. XSET performed fine. I think that they deserve praise for the way that they entered. I think that their strategy was better in those final closing 4 rounds than we saw, even though the first of those 4 rounds started with a loss. I feel like they were better in a lot of ways. All Creators playing off of that main door almost nets his team a first kill. This overtime, obviously, the fact that the Sonics are going to be on attack twice is quite favorable to them. Trend lines do break, though. We've seen crazier things. But obviously, that doesn't mean that Sonics is necessarily going to win. They started off with a good advantage on attack, but it was all for naught.
Yeah, crazier things like Filthy sticking his face in the library window. Is that a good example?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that.
I think XSET have read into the fact that this map is attacker-sided and are trying to get aggressive to counteract that. We've seen this before. It's only partial aggression is the curious bit. But what I'm more curious about is what is the Sonics attack strategy right now? Like, I think it's a master office clear with pressure, you know, to clear out the top and back stairs and the chimney position for the defenders, but it's been so slow.
Good toss from Yeti. It doesn't trigger the gate at all, but does take out the Banshee on the other side. He has an opportunity to push through the wall inside of office and not have to deal with that Surya gate. But Thomas knows just that. And he's going to sit and watch. Sitting, watching, waiting, wishing. What's that Jack Johnson song? I don't know, but Thomas can sing that one in his head. As the Sonics seem to be, I don't want to say stalling out, but they are not necessarily in the best spot to deal with this. Is the Jaeger still watching the spot? That's the question that I have to ask. If Thomas is holding that angle, then the Sonics are going to be in trouble. But there's Grixer to save the day. He finds a freebie in a second as well as he clears out the library from main stairs. The Sonics have control of the second floor. The 3 remaining members from XSET are all down below. Drip will hold himself up by library stairs. He can also play out of the closet just to the left of it if he needs to. And he's going to see Super, who's blind to the left. Down he goes, and the diffuser surrendered in that case as well. That's damaging, and it's a very high impact kill from Drip. But there's Grixer with a kill of his own. He wants to wrestle this lead away from creators, and he does just that. 16 kills on the day for Grixer so far. Drip cannot be stopped, though. He's now worked his way over towards dining, holding this angle. Diffuser will need to be planted at some point. It'll be on Butters to stop it. Kansan absorbing a lot of damage. Yeti going for the plan, as Butters will need to find it. Can he play around this angle? No, he can't. Rexon swats him away. Drip, the only man so far with any kills on his team, will now have some even heavier lifting to do. He won't be able to get Yeti, though, and the Sonics will go back onto match point. They weren't able to close it out. We'll see if they can do it this time. 3 attempts so far, not good enough, but the attackers have a very clear upper hand here on Chalet.
Sonics back on the match point and Yeti back out of his seat. He'll return, though. The early round, very slow for the Sonics. They spread themselves thin too. I actually think that if given a better opportunity there, XSET probably could have used that aggression they were trying to harness earlier to great effect. But they didn't get aggressive on, I guess, the right places. So early game, nobody gets anything other than XSET getting time. Into the mid game, we saw good clear, I suppose, from the Sonics on the Master Office side. They opened up the wall towards Chimney, but because the Jaeger playing on Chimney, they had major problems. Now, this is where the on-the-fly decision-making for the Sonics, whether it's called or it's the individual, is irrelevant. This is where it becomes the highlight for me. Grixer, who is playing by front door, I'm more than confident that his position was to lock down rotation or any potential rotation from basement roamers or anyone coming down the back stairs or anybody coming in from dining or what have you, to lock down that rotation from front door. It's a very difficult position to play. That's Grixer's job. That's his role in that strategy. But he sees the problem that the Jaeger presents at Chimney, and he confronts it directly, knowing that he would go unnoticed creeping in through the main lobby, because who the hell creeps in from front door and then the main lobby to attack Chimney? In that situation, that's absolute suicide in most situations, but Grixer knows that, and he takes full advantage, and he opens that round wide for his team. There was almost no hope, in my opinion, if not that play for the Sonics. They were just running out of time, they didn't have the control, and Grixer gave his team hope.
This has really been a battle of the Titans here for these two top performers. The supporting cast has been quite strong on both teams, though. Thomas with some very impactful frags of his own. Drip had 2 big impactful frags in the previous round, but unfortunately their impact was not as pronounced as the rest of the team wasn't able to do all that much. They died one by one and got whittled down by the Sonics' constant tide. Now the Sonics will move on to defense and will play scattered throughout the map, trying to hold down Kitchen and realizing how crucial it is to hang on to the floor above. We actually got to see that clear as day as Super struggled with losing the entire ceiling in both dining and kitchen the last time they attempted this bomb site. So if he is unable to survive on that floor, and if his team is unable to hang on to the top floor, well then you're not going to be able to do too much through the closing portion of this round. There was an opportunity there for Rexon and Thomas to get into a brawl, and Rexon decided to swing onto that one. He didn't need to engage. This is something to note. The Sonics have been peeking quite a lot to try and offset the pressure that XSET applies to the bomb site by getting a kill early. And those are two swings from the Sonics that do not work out in their favor. Yeti takes a big gamble, jumps out, down goes Filthy. Butters too, but Butters still has an opportunity to be picked back up. Thomas will take down Kansan as you see both Super and Yeti running for their lives. They're on the bottom floor, and in the frost mat, down Thomas goes. That's an easy kill for Yeti. He's got the entirety of the B bomb site opened up above him, so he's going to have to play very, very safe. Super's still down below. He's a mute, doesn't have access to a nitro cell. That's not where you want him to be, especially since most of the floor is entirely unpenetrable. So Super is going to need to get back up.
Lots of time for XSET to use their man advantage to good effect. Yeti trying to play an odd angle. He's got a little bit of foliage to support him on that, staying unnoticed. The big problem is going to be the vertical. Should they identify him with the drone, he will be picked off. And oh boy, those tracers so close to Yeti's head. Super going to be playing by the west lobby. He could do some great work here if he wins his ones, and it's going to have to be more than just one, but it won't be any as XSET cleans up that round. The attacker-sided nature of this map continues, and we will go to the very final round of overtime.
What did I tell you, Michael, about you and I having this caster's curse where we always have a matchup that goes to the final 15?
Yeah, just every time.
It always happens. You got something to do today? Cancel it. Because we're casting some damn Rainbow Six, Michael. XSET on their final defense, and no matter what the final round of this matchup, we have Mirage versus Disrupt up next, and that one will be tight as both of these teams inhabit a similar place in the standings. They are only 2 points apart. Mirage is in 6th, Disrupt is in 4th. Mirage in many ways living and dying by hot and cold. Disrupt so far living and dying and oftentimes by shuttle. And that's a story that we'll talk about when we actually get into that matchup. But right now, we are deep into overtime. The Sonics have consistently ended up in the deep depths of the matchups that they find themselves playing against, regardless of what team it is. They had a blowout victory over SSG. They lost to DZ. They beat DG 7-5. Up against OXG, it was an 8-7 victory by the Sonics. Against TSM, it was an 8-7 victory. The Sonics so far, when getting into the 15th round this season, they're 2-0. They're going to hope that that continues. And they're going to hope that this attacker-sided map continues as well. They've got the favorable side. They've got 3 players who are all doing an excellent job of hitting their shots today. And they are trouncing XSET in kills. We'll see if any of that is able to hold up, because the 15th round does tend to get quite wild.
Yeah, it's scary because when you hit that 15th round, you want to go for the plays that will catch your opponent off guard because you've already conditioned them to expect certain things from you. So you start playing in the most unpredictable way possible, while simultaneously not wanting to lose the match at all costs, which means that you usually don't take massive risks like the one that Creators, the top frag for XSET, took with that aggressive push over by Trophy. The cutoff that I had talked about earlier from Grixer, the one he was supposed to hold on that round where he basically won for his team by creeping into the main lobby, yeah, that's that cutoff right there. And it's going to net an early frag for the Sonics. XSET has to answer that kill back. They have to do it before the execution on the site, or there will be massive problems for this defense.
Yeah, you're going to have to play down 4v5, 2 minutes remaining, and most importantly, the dagger, of course, is that it's Creators. You cannot deny how much easier it is to play against a team when their hottest hand is not in the most pivotal of rounds. I mean, teams have talked about it as well, when you'll get a high-performing player, and now Thomas goes as well. The only 2 players from XSET to break double digits so far are gone from the action, 90 seconds remaining. And 2 Lion charges have already been burned. Those EE1Ds working to keep XSET in place. They don't have a vigil, they don't have a mute, so there's nothing to stop them from being detected. It means that immobilization could potentially hurt XSET. Drip is lined up on library stairs now as we turn our focus towards what will likely be a bit more aggressiveness. He's going to be guarding one of those frost mats. If somebody decides to jump on in, they'll have to fight either Drip or the mat. You pick your poison in that regard. Filthy stunned out by Fire plays Nitro Cell in hand, playing in front of the Goyo shield. He's getting some spam marks, and he'll just pre-fire around the corner, yet puzzlingly lose it to Yeti anyway. Butters is next in line. More spam marks coming out, and Butters will ascend the stairs, but he gets tagged by Grixer. This is a dagger to the heart of the XSET fans as it's Drip in a 1v5, and to close out the matchup, the Soniqs will finish it flawlessly. They remain perfect in this 15th round. They walk away with 2 points over XSET.
Beautiful win there at the end for the Soniqs. It looked like they were starting to choke their lead, to choke their advantage, to maybe toss away the match. But no, the Soniqs lock it up when it matters most. And they are letting their opponent know. You can tell. Oh boy. 19 kills for Grixer, by the way. A 3K